Hello and welcome to Buildmasters in association with Gtechniq. And we're kicking off this series with one of the best cars in the country, Ash's KP61 Starlet. Ash, we're going to take a look at a couple of your cars today actually, but this one's is fresh out this year, isn't it?
Very fresh. I've had this car for 10 years and then it's been last 3 years in the making. So literally finished a couple of weeks ago, just the night before players.
Okay, and why did you go for a Starlet KP1?
Starlet I went for, my dad raced a Starlet in the 80s around Arena Essex.
Right.
A few other tracks, Wimbledon and that, in the hot rods. And I think it's always just been, you know, in the blood, it's been in the passion. I always wanted a Starlet. My brother had one when I was growing up and never finished it, and we sold it and we regretted it big time. And then I was looking around in the UK and there was nothing nice. They're quite hard to come by. And then I started scouring Europe and then found this over in Belgium.
Oh, right.
So this was originally a left hooker, auto. And then, spoke with the guy over there. And me and my friend, just one morning, drove over, bought it back. So, and then a few years ago, after the Harrier had finished, it was time to get this one done.
So get started on this one. And I mean, it's quite a special car. So you've based it on that race car from Arena Essex with the arches.
Yeah, so it's similar kit. It's like the kit back then, I think was PAA, and it was like a one-piece fiberglass kit. And now there's a man, Angelo, in Portugal, and he makes this Toyota N2 kit, TRD kit. So yeah, I tried to base it roughly on my dad's, just went from there really.
So you can buy these kits off the shelf?
Yeah, you can buy that, it's just the arches and the bits. People have just slowly started doing boots, bonnets, like the fiberglass panels. But parts for them, arches, they're hard to get. That's why I put fiberglass arches on the front, because I didn't want to cut up the metal arches.
Right.
It doesn't matter so much all the internal bits because there's not much Toyota Starlet left on it, if you like.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing, guys, but this video wouldn't have happened without our awesome sponsors, Gtechniq. Now, I want you to cast your minds back to when we tested this glass coating kit from Gtechniq. 10 months on, we want to show you the durability of this kit by retesting it now and showing you the results. So we coated this windscreen 9 or 10 months ago, and to prove we haven't just topped it up, look at the dirt left on there. So we're just going to give it a quick blast and you're going to see the before and after and the difference of the coated side and the non-coated side. As you can see, in the last 10 months, there's been no decline in the water repellency. Quite remarkable. So if you want this level of protection for your glass, the link is in the description to this amazing product. It looks like it could go racing. So what's its purpose?
Well,
or is it a bit of show, a bit of everything?
A bit of everything. It started, the purpose went out the window a bit. The purpose originally was to just 4-link English axle on the rear and put some engine mounts in for the Volkswagen we got in there. And then that just kind of escalated that we've now got like a full race car, if you like, but I can use it for the shows. I can go and have some fun on the track with it. You know, it's got a bit of multi-purpose, if you like. And
you just mentioned the engine.
Yep.
So can we talk a bit more about that? So obviously that's not the original Starlet engine.
No,
that's long gone. And you said it's a Volkswagen engine. So can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so Volkswagen ABF engine, and I think it was in the Mark III Golf, the 2-litre GTIs. It's a 2-litre 16-valve, single pulley twin cam. But my dad, sorry, do you want me to go?
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say they've turned it. It's obviously facing the wrong way.
That's it. So normally in the Golfs, your front wheel drive. And then my dad used to race in Holland with the hot rods. And they predominantly use the Volkswagens. They turn them rear wheel drive and use those. Whereas in England, we were using red top Vauxhalls. So they were big out there, had a bit more torque but less horsepower than the red tops, the XEs. And then years later we bought it back over with a race car, and then my brother started racing with it. Did well, did okay, but it just wasn't up there to compete against the red tops. So it came out and it just sat on the floor for years. So we tried to sell it, no one wanted it. And then, yeah, a few years ago, it was decided that we just stick it in this, do something different.
Yeah. And what sort of horsepower does this one kick
That
out?
made 220, but it's just usable, nice, and for what the car weighs, it's absolutely plenty.
And the manifold looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, lovely manifold. Edwards did the manifolds back there and put the throttle bodies, because it used to have the carbs on it,
yeah,
with all the regulations for the racing. So it's a bit more drivable now, you know, starting wise, etc. But yeah, and then we put it on the dry sump. So we've got the matching now to make it look symmetrical.
yeah.
So we've got the washer fluid, radiator, and then the oil dry sump.
Yeah, so all those little bits of attention to detail. A
That's
big old
it.
pipe across filter. Yeah, it looks like a hell of a build. So was it take a long time to get it in there? Or?
So 3 years SHP were doing the work on it.
Wow.
You know, they did a lot of fab work, and I don't think I helped changing the plan along the way of what was actually going along. So yeah, they had quite a lot of work, and at first it wasn't a big push. It was like a general project.
Yeah.
And then it just, yeah, went to the full scale of a build.
Cool. And what gearbox?
That's a 5-speed quaif in it, close ratio. We thought about doing the sequential, but it's plenty for what it is, you know, for the horsepower, etc. It's absolutely fine, it's usable. So twin plate clutch, going back to it, and then it's still on an English axle on the rear. It's got a 3.9 ATB in it, but we discovered the other day when we drove to Goodwood, it's a bit too laggy on the clutch, so we're going to go up to a 4.4 now.
Right.
Just so it's a bit more usable on the roads.
Okay. Should we take a look on the in the interior now?
Yeah, go for it.
So this tunnel's all fabricated as well, is it?
Everything's fabricated, so the floors are standards,
Yeah.
and then they fabricated the seat mounts, etc. But yeah, the floor's standard, tunnel's fabricated, and then a whole new firewall come up to the top of the floor. So whereas the engine was coming back and everything, and then the dash, where it was left-hand drive,
Yeah.
I shortly discovered how hard it was to find a right-hand drive dash for a Starlet. So that was a nightmare. And then I found a bug eye, which was the earlier shape dash, but it didn't fit in. And then eventually in Malaysia, I found someone selling a right-hand drive dash, managed to get that over, which cost a fortune. And then we were looking at it, and then I wanted to keep with the, I suppose, the hot rod theme,
Yeah.
where we didn't have anything. We were going to put the whole dash in with all the vents, etc. But we didn't, so we just took a mould of the right-hand drive dash, and that was it. So we didn't use any of it after all that. And then put some gauges. So obviously, if we're using it for the road, I did all the miles per hour, did my basics, the water, etc. But got my oil light, and then got a full fire extinguisher system in the car. So if we're using it, you know, we need it. And then I've got all my ignition and buttons up there, all your wipers and everything. And then still got the lights on the stalk here. So wanted to keep it a bit clean and simple. And I think there was quite a few rules and regs with the racing that you can and can't do as well.
And then you've got a couple of Cobra seats in there.
A couple of Cobra seats, yeah. So I wanted to keep with the only part we kept was the door cards, really. I wanted to try and incorporate them in. So went with a grey-ish vibe, keeping in with the colour of the interior. So went with those. I didn't want the wraparound heads because it's just...
Can't see.
Can't see. It's not necessarily for what this thing is, you know. But yeah, and then ended up going with a full cage, which wasn't part of the original plan. But it all happened. And then the fuel tank in the back there.
Crazy. And I know this is part of the engine, really, but the management on this...
Yeah, so DTA management. Yeah. So that's all wired in, everything hidden up there, all the washer bag and everything, so you can still use it. It's hidden up under there. We've got the line lock up on the gear stick here, brake bias, and then hydraulic handbrake, but you can lock it so that still MOT friendly.
Come back out now and just talk a bit more about this exterior as well.
Okay, mate.
I've just noticed these couple of little switches here, so well, buttons. You've got fire and battery, so...
Yeah, so basically if you're on the track, marshals or anyone else has got to have access to it. So you can press the fire and then one will go off in the bonnet, and then there's a couple off that will go inside the car, extinguish all any problems you've got, and then a battery to kill all the electrics, everything. So you just got to make sure you have the fire turned off if you're at a show.
It's a proper bit of kit, isn't it? You really do need to get it out on track and just drive it in anger.
Yeah, I want to try and use it. So I'm looking forward to driving it in anger, having a bit of fun in it. Everyone keeps telling me it's going to get ruined, but you know, I've built it to use. So like underneath, we Raptored this one. Yeah. We wanted to be able to use it. It's quite durable. It's the first time we tried that method. Yeah. So yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's a single stage paint. It's got no lacquer on it, so we can touch it up easy enough. You know, it's built to be used. And this colour, you can see it's on the Mk1 in the background. Yeah. So, and the livery is very similar as well. So could you talk us about the livery and the colour and what is it? The colour was a colour my dad, you know, drew up or mixed up in the 80s. He had it on his race cars. So it's a secret blend. It's a secret blend. I mean, there's probably a name you could put it similar base to, but we'll keep it close to us. And then, yeah, and in the 80s on his Starlet, he had a pink stripe down the side. So it works. It works with the well. So my brother has it on his race car. We tried to keep the theme pretty similar, just modernise it a bit. So yeah, we tried to keep it based on what he had in the 80s, but a bit of a modern twist. Cool. And then we talked about the arch, about the rear spoiler. Is that from the same? Yeah, that's part of the same kit. Yeah. That's part of it all. And there was a bit of a debate whether we ran that, because I quite like the look of them without it, to be honest. But they were like, you've got to do the whole thing. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I really like that. So you've got some chunky wheels on there, and you've got Avon tyres, which we don't see that often now, but they're quite an, I guess they're quite an old school sort of motorsport tyre, aren't they? Yeah, it's a weird one with that, because SHP were building a really random Alfa Romeo, and they had these wheels on the car, and the build didn't happen. Right. So they're 10x13s and 8x13s, and you know, when I first saw it, they said, oh, the wheels work on the car. You know, we fitted it around these wheels, done everything, the wheelbase, you know, everything, the axle. And I wasn't sure. In my head, I wanted, you know, the low profile, the split rims and all of that. But the more I saw it, I was like, it's a bit of a, you know, I suppose retro Japanese, if you like, just good to be different. It's usable. It's not slammed on the ground. And they're easy to get off the shelf. So, you know, that comes handy as well, to be honest. Yeah. So the more I look at them, the more I've taken a shine into them. And the wheels, what are they attached to? What's the suspension in there? So you've got 4 linked on the rear. Right. And then on the front, you've got Nitron shocks on there, and they're 3-way adjustable on the front and 2-way adjustable on the back. So, and then we've got wheelwoods all round. And then they had the wheels polished by my friend Feist. Oh, Feist. Yeah, and and then had the centres coloured match to try and do similar with the Escort. Yeah, amazing. Is there anything else I've missed or you'd like to mention on this car? There's probably loads, isn't there? But there is, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's the basis of it, if you like. Okay. Well, should we go and move on to the... Yeah, let's move on, mate. To the Mark II Harrier. Now, we moved from the Starlet over to this, and this was sort of like, was this one of your, I wouldn't say it's going to be your first build, but one of the first ones that we sort of heard about you and your cars, because this was in Fast Car, was in Classic Ford as well. Yeah. And this one, even though that was an amazing build, I think this is like another level up, isn't it? Like, how long did this one take to do? This one took, I think, 8-9 years, but constant. That was, yeah, the details, finer details on this are they're pretty crazy in my mind, and I still forget about a lot of the things we've done to it. So where did the inspiration for this come from? Again, it's like a, well, 70s car, isn't it? I guess, again, with Dad's racing Mark II Escorts. My brother had a Mark II Escort. I always, when I was a kid, wanted a Mark II Escort. And I think before they went silly money, a friend of my dad's, he had this Harrier, and I ended up buying it when I was 18. Before, oh, you've had it that long? Yeah, long time. But, you know, back then they were affordable, really. So in my head, I just had this, you know, visual of what I wanted to do. And then I did it, and I think I upset a lot of the Ford purists in the end, but unfortunately it's your car. It's my car, and it's just, you know, it's what I wanted to do to it. It's just, it is a genuine Harrier, but I just wanted to put my twist on it, and unfortunately it just how it happened that I had a Harrier. This was originally the silver Harrier. Yeah. I think it was the Stratos, and then the bloke before didn't like the silver, so he painted the outside white, but left all the inside silver.
Right.
And I weren't really too into it at the time. Didn't realise that the two Harriers were the silver and the whites, and that the silver was the rarer colour, if you like. So I wanted to keep it silver, but it was such a boring Ford colour that I looked around. I mean, silver's a dull colour. And then eventually I found this BMW Moonstone,
Right.
that they did as like a special colour order. And so I thought I'd keep it silver based on the Harrier, but with just a bit of a pearly, deeper look, if you like.
It's really bright, actually, because I know the sun's on it in a minute, but this is like the...
I know, and
it's
it's literally the worst day that this has been out for the first time in 2 years today.
Yeah.
And absolutely covered in dust, not washed, ready for you, nothing.
Wow. Yeah, and the purpose of this car really is show car, isn't it?
It's show car, but you know, I did the shows with it. I loved it. It was the first time I really got into the shows with this car. And, you know, I really do enjoy showing off, and I love talking about it with people. It's nice. It's a nice passion, a hobby, if you like. And I'd love to take it to more, especially local shows, etc., and just enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah. Yeah, we put all that time and effort into it. Definitely need to enjoy it.
So I wanted single wiper, so centering the hull over.
Right.
Just to start with. I just wanted a cleaner look. And then I went with the louvers there instead of the original vents.
Just Are they cool louvers?
Cool louvers, you call it cool louvers.
Yeah, it's a very 90s
yeah.
mod.
And then got rid of the mirrors.
Yep.
Even shortened the rails on the back, the rain rails.
Oh, okay.
So shorten them at the back, and then on the C-pillars, they normally have the gutter there, but it just fills up with water and rusts. So we got rid of those, and as much as people want to say it, you know, there is metal under there, not filler. You know, it was done properly. And then on the door handles, I didn't like the original door handles, so we went with Fiat Barchetta.
I was gonna say that before you to make me look knowledgeable.
I thought, go for it.
I better not. But yeah, Fiat Barchetta.
Fiat Barchetta, and then I found a company over in Europe who did them as parts, and they sold a whole cutout. So we managed to cut it in there and still use all the existing rods of the Mark II system internals. So it's just a nicer, cleaner look. So their stripes, they are the Harrier stripes. That was what they came with.
Okay.
I've not touched those. I had them made in a bit of a different vinyl because, yeah, I found they kept coming off. But they are the original stripes. There's a lot of chat, you know, on forums and groups, whether they should be wrapped around the front. People say it should finish on the sides, but you're getting into a whole concourse detail level there with the original spec. So even like the three stripes and on the boot, they're in different places, but I can't say it's an original spec Harrier anymore, so it doesn't really matter.
No.
And then here, the indicators, I wanted rid of them. I didn't like them. So we shortened the whole bumper, made it into the one-piece carbon, and then Carbon Weasel, they made it, did all the molds, and they did the same front and back, and then put the indicators in the sides. And then on the grille as well, normally has the Ford logo there.
Yeah.
Got rid of that because I just didn't want to see it, wanted to keep it all clean. And then even the vents underneath there, we changed the location just because normally you'd see them all sticking out and I just didn't like any of it.
I know you just mentioned you got the indicators in the front headlights. So they're custom made as well? Or?
No, they're not custom made. They're from America, but believe it or not, they're from a motorbike.
Oh, wow.
So with a motorbike, you can have the indicators. So we got the side lights. We rewired it, side lights one side, indicators the other side. So normally they were just indicators on both, but then we wanted to change it. So we managed to keep the side lights and everything there, so it's all good for the road.
So loads of little details
There's
that
so
only
many fine details.
purists would know.
Yeah, you know, and I think it was funny when we first started going to the shows is you'd watch people, and especially if they're Ford people, they'd walk past the car, you know, and then you'd come back and then they'd go, I didn't spot that. And then again, it's like me and you talking, until you start telling people, you don't always notice so much the details on the car. So it's all the little things that it's nice to chat about, all the finer details that I think, you know, can finish the car, can make it.
Definitely, yeah. Do you want to talk about the wheels?
The wheels, yes. So again, I didn't want just off the shelf wheels. So we went with the Image wheels at the billet 60s. And I didn't want to see the studs either on the split rims. So they did them from the back, and they was doing them for the race cars, for the cooling. I mean, for this, it doesn't really serve the purpose, but had them all highly polished, kept it clean look. So they're 14s as well. And 14s isn't really done either on the Fords, but the 13s were just too small and 15s were too big. So we messed about for months on end trying to find the right size wheel. Everything, the tyre and everything just works. So now we've got, I think, 9s on the rear and then 7.5s on the front, and it just works right. High spec brakes on it, and then we did away with the handbrake. So they did a caliper system that had the electronic handbrake on it.
Right.
So I didn't want the handbrake in the middle, just looked messy.
Well, we'll get onto the interior in a minute.
Yeah, and then on the rear, this upset quite a few people that the number plate's normally here in the middle. Yeah. And then again, did away with that. A lot of people said it looked like a Morris or an old Leyland now, ruined the back. So that was quite funny at the shows. But I just wanted a clean look, you know, just wanted to keep it nice, clean, simple look. Carbon again, carbon bumper on there and that. And I even went to a silly detail of dipping the diff casing in carbon. Not that you're ever going to see it, but just for the small details.
Well, why not? Why not? Under the hood, well, it's probably one of the cleanest bays I've ever seen. And before we even get into that, I just love the fact how you've made this all look. What suspension's in there? So
that's Gaz all on it. You know, for what this car is going to be used for, Gaz, you know, great little suspension setup. Everything. We didn't want the top mounts.
No.
The plates on top, so they're underneath of the car because I wanted to keep the whole thing looking nice and clean. Even the bowl, lost the hole there and moved it down to here. So just to delete that, normally it's got the big lip here, so got rid of all of that. Even the cross brace underneath there, I didn't like the joins in the middle, so that was taken off and made into a one-piece cross brace. All the holes at the top as well we got rid of, and then we put it on the struts as well, just so we didn't have the bar coming down.
There's more work on the underside of that bonnet than there is most cars. It's just crazy. Right, let's get into this work of art of an engine then. So
yeah, so that's a 1848 AX Crossflow. Wanted to keep it in the Crossflow theme. You know, it didn't need any Cosy turbo in this or anything. Love the Crossflows. Found the AX block, and then Connell Engines and Tim Swadkin built it. Wanted to try and get the Magic 200, but we got 198, and then we got about 170 pound of torque. So for what it is out of a small little original 1600 engine, you know, it's pretty good for a Crossflow. And then went on to the AT throttle bodies on the 45s, and again an Edwards manifold system all the way back.
That is stunning, that manifold.
And then here, like the front, normally on the Crossflows, you have a big coolant pipe coming around there.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. So then we had Pro Alloy. They did all the rad, the petrol tank and all the bits, and then made a custom bit. So it was all kept nice and clean. And then my dad and friend Keith, they hid all the wiring system, all by a tiny little loom plug that's tucked right at the back there and goes all back to the engine under the dash, all hidden nicely.
It's got to be one of the best Mark IIs in the country, in the world.
Yeah, I can't, you know, I might be biased, but yeah, I like
but
it.
Even the simple things aren't simple in this, are they? You've had to you've just gone.
Honestly, there's so many things, even now looking, I'm reminding myself of all these tiny things and headaches we went through just to get it. No one had really done a clean engine bay as such on the Fords. You know, the Volkswagen boys were real big on it with the Golfs. I suppose that's my inspiration there. They do a beautiful engine bay. So yeah, just wanted to try something different, you know, break the norm a bit, if you like.
Well, you've certainly done that. And let's go and have a look at the interior as well, because there's some extra touches in there.
Yeah, okay, mate.
So now we're inside the car and looking at the interior. And these seats, they don't look standard.
No, they're out of Metro.
They're out of a Metro, okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to look from the front to the back without seeing the big headrests. Again, I wanted the clean look all the way through. So we had a scrap car with these in, and then we tried them in and they just fitted, you know, so it wasn't too much ag to get them on the rails. We had the moulds done in the side, just on the carbon, and ended up working nice, and then had the headrests shaved down, so they're even lower than normal.
Another little detail you wouldn't realise, and you've even trimmed the plastic bits at the bottom. And the trimming, so why have you gone for this sort of...
Well, I suppose with the RS theme, the Escort, the Ford World, they did a chocolate interior. I was trying to keep similar basis on that, if you like. I just didn't want black, just didn't want a black interior. And then steering column. I set off an American hot rod.
Right.
Because I didn't want any switches. I didn't want any levers, anything there at all. So they sold a steering column like that, got that fitted up, which meant we then had to put all the panels and everything there. So we did all that, the electronic handbrake, we've got the line lock there, and then it's a 4-speed Quave sequential in there. Yeah, and then so under there, again, did all the trim panels in carbon, wanted all of those, even the rears on the C-pillars. I mean, you don't really notice them, but...
No, and even the little pins.
Yeah, the pins, the quarter windows on the bits, just put a piece over there. So it was all trying to keep it as tidy as possible. Everything is hidden, and there's a tray under there that drops down with all the electrical components, everything underneath that you can access to work on.
Blimey.
So even just the small details, I didn't want just the mirror. If I look through at a show, I didn't want to see a mirror hanging down. So it's just a lot of little details, you know, just wanted as clean as possible. The rear seats, the tops are shaved down. So again, they weren't sticking up too high.
But then you've had the seatbelts matched as well?
Yes, I had the seatbelt matched. There's a couple of lovely ladies that make seatbelts, and they did all those in the matching colours to the buckles.
Wow. Yeah, as you say, you just keep looking and you keep seeing stuff, or you don't see stuff because it's been taken out or smoothed or whatever. But yeah, it's incredible, incredible. And you mentioned to me there's something in the boot as well.
Yeah, we'll have a look in the boot.
First thing I noticed, if you've got to fill the car up with petrol, you have to raise the boot.
Yeah, so I didn't want the cap on the sides, and then I didn't want to do the whole Group 4 rally thing. You know, you can have the spare wheel in the middle with the tank at the back. So Pro Alloy, I think it was a bit of a nightmare for them, but they had the car and then they moulded the whole tank around the whole wheel well. It's just so you could literally do a normal journey in it without worrying about fuel. And then I didn't want the pumps underneath either, or the filter, so they built everything inside there so you can get access to it easy enough. And then again, it keeps it all clean. And then the one part of keeping it the original Harrier, if you like, was the spare wheel bracket. It's a question they all say on the forums and whatever. But yeah, so wanted to keep it, didn't want to alter it, so had the spare wheel so we could fit in there and keep that as part of the original shell. Wow.
It seems like, to me, it's like a lot of the times in this video you said, I wanted it like that. It's been like a real no compromise kind of build. So when you said, I want to do that, go, oh, that'd be really difficult, that'd take ages. You're like, don't care, just that's...
I think so. You know, there was I had to compromise a lot, but I think in my head I knew exactly how I wanted it, what I wanted doing. And, you know, we found the right people that could do the job, you know, even just a tiny thing of hiding the wires in the frame there. You know, didn't want any wires on show for the lights or the tank, anything. So everything is all hidden. So then we've got the solenoid to there. If we want to pop the boot, everything is hidden for it.
Is there anything else I've missed on this one? There's probably, again, loads.
Well, underneath, I don't know if you want to have a look underneath.
Yeah, we can do. Wow. That's just incredible. So do you want to talk me through some of the bits that have gone on underneath there?
Yeah, so again, with the rear, you know, underneath, we wanted to keep it just the same as the outside. Yeah. So SHP, they did us a stealth axle. So it's still an English axle, but it's all clean. It's got none of the horrible bowl on the back of it. Very clean looking from if you was looking underneath. So we did all of that. And then again with the Edwards system, had it all polished underneath. And it's even small little details, the bowls underneath where the petrol tank and the wheel sit. On an actual Mark II Escort, one of them's got a horrible weld joint that comes down that you see, and they're not even. So we wanted them matched. If you was looking at from the rear, that both the underneath bowls would match where the spare wheel was and the petrol tank. Yeah, it's just as clean underneath as it is on the outside.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, but this is what we were just saying, whether it's gone, you know, too much now that it's a trailer queen, but, you know, I will use it on the road, but it's what I wanted to do underneath. You know, I know it's going to get absolutely destroyed using it on the road, but you got to do it sometime, and I just wanted it looking like that underneath.
Yeah, well, that's what you want, that's what you get, look at that. So, but now you've got your show, you've got your go, and should we go and have a look at a bit more go?
Let's do it.
So Ash, we're going to leave the Mark II, and then we've got a Mark 1 Escort, known as an RSR, is that right?
An RSR, yeah, by SHP Engineering. They created this Mark 1 now. you know, fully space frame, full fiberglass body. They called it the RSR. There's quite a few out there at the moment. And then my dad had this one done to go racing with, enjoy it again, you know, go and try and feel young again, I suppose.
Yeah. So is this your dad's car?
This is my dad's car. You know, this is his new little baby. He'll be able to tell you a lot more about this than me.
Okay, should we go and grab him?
Let's grab him.
But before you go, you've got your Starlet, you've got your Harrier. If you could only save one.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to go with my original baby. This,
okay.
The Escort, the Harrier. I'm taking that.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That's fine.
Right, let's bring Dad in.
Okay.
So you're Dad, but you're also known as?
John.
John. All right, John. I'm Jules. And now this is your toy, so
yes.
Can you talk us through this? This is a proper race car.
Proper purpose-built race car, SHP Motorsport, started building them, base frame chassis. Derived really from hot rods from back then, you know, when they were all space frame and the Starlets, like what Ashleys, and the Mark II Escorts. Raced a long time ago. The last time I raced actually was about 23 years ago, last time I sat in a race seat. And I said to my other son who races and Ashley, I said, I'm going to have another go. So we bought this.
Is the bottle still there?
I don't know, it's a bit more cautious.
So did you used to race in Mark 1 Escort as well?
I did race. My first car was a Mark 1 Escort, grass tracking. Then I progressed to Mark II, which is what most people tend to do back then.
Yeah.
And then into the Starlet, which was the way it went on the oval racing scene.
So you can see a bit of a theme going on.
Yeah, well, you keep telling me to build one in the field. But
What's under the hood?
Under the hood, we went with a Mustang 2.3 EcoBoost.
Right.
And the reason we went with that was various reasons. A lot of guys that are racing are using purpose-built, you know, big engines, Millingtons, Smith & Jones, stuff like that. But you're talking big money. And of course, when it goes wrong, big money put right.
Big money again, yeah.
EcoBoost, straight out of Mustang, is 330 horsepower. So that engine we're using in there is completely stock, bar the management system and the dry sump system. So we tried to keep it without going mad.
Right.
To the point of practical. And a new engine off the shelf from Ford's is 4.5 grand plus VAT. Bog standard engine. So from that point of view, if something went wrong, I can go and get another one, swap the bits over, and away we go.
It's really important in racing, isn't it? Like
it
the
is.
amount of times you see like something goes wrong and then people scrambling around trying to get parts of the cars. But if you just pop down your local Ford dealer and they've got one in stock,
absolutely.
And you see it's got 300 and
it's 400 horsepower.
400 horsepower in a car that probably doesn't weigh an awful
900 kilos.
900 kilos. It's going to be
out of the weight ratio thing. Yeah,
it's going to be quick. And the reason it weighs so light, so that's a fiberglass body, is it?
Fiberglass moulded body. Yeah, obviously they're all different sections bolted together with all alley panels on the inside. Yeah, so that keeps the weight down. And again, the rigidity because of the space frame. You know, there's no flex. An old Mark 1 would be flexing all over the place in this sort of race. The torque of this engine is 520 foot-pound of torque, so it pulls things. So with driving it, you have to short shift all the time because the revs, you're not pulling the revs. Some of those race engines are pulling sort of 9,500. Gearbox-wise, we went on to the sequential 6-speed SADEV, French-made gearbox. Most people go Quaife, but the SADEV's quite a small, compact gearbox. Saves a lot of space in the transmission tunnel. So that's another reason we went that way. And a very strong gearbox.
So this was finished this year?
Yes.
So you've had 2 cars on the go?
Yes. Been absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
But you only had to order the paint once by the looks of it?
Yeah, we funnily enough, the paint scheme, the colour, depending on the manufacturer of the paint, it comes out slightly shades, so different shades. So we have to go back to the same people we used when we did this car, so that Ashley's was matched. Yes.
Yeah. And you went out and did retro rides gathering in this, didn't you? At the show?
Yes, yeah.
I think you won car of the show there.
It did, yeah. Which I was pleasantly surprised, but I was really surprised, I've got to say. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. It was actually, we wanted to take the Starlet, but it wasn't ready. So I said, "Come and take that, Dad." So I said, "Okay, well, we'll go and sit and have a cup of coffee and put the car." And he took his old Sierra that he's got, and lo and behold, it won. So I was very, very, as I say, pleasantly surprised.
Going back to how many times have you driven it in anger now, or how many times have you tested it? How many times have you been out on?
Well, I've done the 2 testing at Brands before, and then we did Mallory race 2-3 weeks ago. I can't remember now. And unfortunately, the car was in the wrong place at one time and had a lot of damage done to the front of it, so we've had to rebuild the front of it again.
I saw the the front, the old front.
Yes. So we had to do that. And again, we found that because it really hadn't had enough development in as much, again, as I said, time, that we found it was getting too hot on the bonnet. So we've now had another bonnet bayed with some aerodynamics on it. I had a specialist guy come and look at the car. He obviously knew a lot more than I did. And so we've had a new bonnet made so that when we do race it again, we'll be changing the bonnet for a different one. And we've now had the intercooler and the radiator modified, again, airflow, and get some more heat out of it. Because when we were at Mallory, it was getting a bit hot. It's got electronic power steering.
Right.
So, for instance, because obviously we're on 10-inch wide slicks in the pits, can be quite a handful, manoeuvring around. So you can turn the power steering, it's variable, so you can turn it up so that you get around the pits, move around the rest of it. When you race, I found a sort of sweet spot where I felt it was right. And then I just turn it down the race, just turn it down to that point, and then away you go. And
then on the inside, they obviously got all the massive roll cage, and you've got a Tilt racing seat in there.
Yes, we had a different make seat in there, and just couldn't get comfortable with it. And with me driving it, Ashley hopefully having a go when he gets time, and my other son driving it, we decided to get the Tilt because it seemed to fit all of us better and surprisingly comfortable and lighter, of course, saving some weight.
Yeah, they are really comfy.
Yeah, they are, very.
Well, if we could just flick the bonnet up and
sure.
have a quick look underneath there, that'd be great. So there's a few RSR Escorts out there now, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
But is this the first one with running that engine?
It was the first one with the EcoBoost that I'm aware of. There is now, as I understand it, 2 other guys running EcoBoosts because people have thought the same as I did. It's their pretty standard, strong built engine and power on hand without having to go ballistic. I'm hoping that we'll have some success with it. What it does do, of course, is with the turbos, it puts you in a bigger class.
Right. Okay.
So normal fuel injected on, say, B class, this will be A class, and that's the only thing. So I'm very belt and braces from my engineering background. So double up, like 2 temperature gauges, temperature sensors, 2 oil pressures, etc., etc. You need to monitor it because, if something's going wrong during a race, you want to know about it before it's too late.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, John.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to go and grab Ash again.
Okay, great.
So Ash, thank you so much for letting us look around your cars today.
You're welcome.
It's an absolute pleasure. And because of that, you're going to be our first ever Gtechniq Build Master. So there you go. So you've got that.
Thank you very much, mate.
And you probably have to get online and order yourself another one of them.
All right, lovely.
But yeah, keep your car clean for that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you, mate. Nice one.
Cheers. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, to like, subscribe and share. We've got loads more coming up in Build Masters, so make sure you hit that notification bell.